I don't visit plain-dealing cemetery anymore. Not for family, not for history, never for peace. But even now, 30 years out, if I'm alone late at night, I can still smell the dew on the hill, still feel the bite of October air, still hear the tapping. I was 16 when Eddie dared me. He was always trying to impress bigger and bolder and meaner than the rest of us. Marcus was quieter, but always there to laugh at someone else's misfortune. That fall we were obsessed with the cemetery. It loomed at the edge of town where the land sloped up, and the fog stuck to the grass long after it had burned off everywhere else. Rumors always surrounded the white stone mausoleum up on the hill. Nobody remembered who first needed it, but everyone agreed the place felt wrong. 10 casket slots for short-term rest. That's what the caretaker, old Mr. Johnson, told us once when he caught us poking around. Just while the ground dries, he'd said, eyes deep as old river mud. But sometimes things get forgotten in there. Of course, that just made it cooler to us. On a chilly Friday night, Eddie and Marcus rolled up to my place in Eddie's beat-up Chevy, laughing like they'd already written the story. It was my turn to prove something. I stuffed my sleeping bag and a flashlight in my backpack, and we rattled out to the cemetery, the truck's headlights picking out the moss on headstones and the glint of dew on the grass. They parked at the bottom of the hill, right by the rusted cattle gate. All night, Eddie grinned, slapping my shoulder. Sunrise and we'll be back. Bring us something to prove you stayed the mausoleum key, or hell, some bone. I tried to laugh too loud, tried to let them think it was all a joke. The graveyard was different after dark. Not just quieter, but empty as how it felt, even with generations under my feet. There was a heaviness on the hill. The mausoleum waited at the top, white as bone in the moonlight, squat and angular with its 10 black-mouthed vaults, 5 up, 5 down, closed off with heavy stone plugs, carved with names and numbers. I sat up near an old oak, the tree trunk at my back. The wind kept tugging at the grass. There were night sounds, insects, the shuffle of something small in the brush, but mostly it was the thick hush that pressed in. I clicked on my flashlight and watched my own breath morph into ghostly clouds. Hours crawled by. I finished my last sandwich at midnight and walked up to the mausoleum, more restless than afraid. The structure felt colder than the night itself, the marble slick with dew. I ran my finger across the broken carvings. Each slot was meant for a family, but half the names were lost to lichen and time. That's when I heard it. Tap, tap, like knuckles on the inside of a coffin lid. I spun hard in my throat, but there was only the stone and the dark. I stepped closer, shining the light along the lower row. Tap, 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 this time slower and heavier. A chill raced up my spine. I remembered old Mr. Johnson's stories, how sometimes after storms, the slots would shift, stone moving against stone. I leaned closer, convincing myself I could see a crack in the lowest plug. Maybe it had always been there, but tonight it looked new. Cold air breathed out from the opening, thick with the smell of wet iron and something sweet, almost rotten. My legs wanted to run, but something else, curiosity or stubborn pride, made me stay. I reached out, hands shaking, and ran my fingertip over that broken seam. It was dry. For a moment, nothing happened. Then from deep within the scraping began. Soft at first, then harder. The dragging sound of something heavy against stone, like nails across a chalkboard. I jumped back, dropping my flashlight. Its beam caught the gap, and for a split second I swear there was an eye shining from inside, wide and black and glistening. I squeezed my own eyes shut tight. I don't know how long I huddled there, maybe minutes, maybe hours. I told myself it was shadows, old air, maybe a raccoon or snake. But the tapping started again, 3 measured raps, polite, patient, a request for entry. I ran, the sensations followed, the musty sweetness, the cold that cut deeper the farther I got. Down the hill, past the silent stones, across the gravel road, I kept running, branches smacking my arms, until the ground leveled, and I saw the faint orange glow of Marcus's lighter in the distance. When Eddie and Marcus pulled up, I must have looked a mess. They wanted to circle back to see what scared me so bad, but not that night, not with the fog rising again, thicker than ever. A few days later, Eddie tried to prove I was making it all up. He snuck out one afternoon, pried at the mausoleum door, but the lowest plug wouldn't budge. He came back swearing the slot had never been opened. Marcus just shrugged. But not long after, Mr. Johnson died out there, his pickup still running halfway up the hill. The sheriff said it was his heart, but somebody, maybe Eddie, maybe Marcus, whispered they found him lying near the mausoleum, one hand stretched toward the lower row, an old iron key rusted in his grip. They sealed off that part of the cemetery afterward, said it was too unstable. The mausoleum's boarded up now, half swallowed by weeds, but I know that Hill still watches the town. Every so often, in the heavy dark of a fall night, the wind shifts. A dog barks itself hoarse, and if you listen close, you'll hear it. 3 slow taps, asking to be remembered, asking to come in